welcome to today's class, which is based around balance scales, the balance scales, which I pinched from the GMB guys, thank you very much. And this is what it is. I'm going to show you the full version. I don't want you to do it, we'll have a go at the end. Basically standing on both legs, legs nice and straight, hands on your hips. In fact, now I'm going to take my arms out to the side, so I'm standing in like a square line like that. I'm making a T shape. I'm going to draw one leg up, extend the leg out to the front, draw that leg in, hinge forwards over my hips and extend the leg out the back. Hopefully I'm making a 90-degree angle. Really nice and upright here, extending the leg, 90 degrees again, arms are at 90 degrees. We're making like a square set. Hips are level, shoulders are level. I'm going to try it on the other side, just for a bit of balance for myself in my own body. So extending the leg, drawing this one in, hinging forwards, keeping the standing leg straight. On this side, I want to lift my right hip. I'm going to try and keep it down. And coming upright. I'm not going to do that again on that side. That's the thing. It requires hamstring flexibility, hip flexibility, upper body, good posture, upper body, back, thoracic flexibility. One of the things we normally work on. It needs strength in having nice straight legs, beautiful pointed feet, everything in good alignment, a good core, a good neutral spine and neutral pelvis, strong butt. Those are all the things we're going to work on. Okay, so let's start with the feet, shoulder, outside shoulder width apart, reaching up, maybe get those fingertips going. Let's twiddle the hands, twiddle the fingers, and take a side seam stretch, and then let those arms drop down, taking the chin onto the chest, keeping the fingers going if you can, rolling all the way down, hanging from your waist, nod your head, shake your head, wiggle the shoulders around a little bit, transfer the weight from side to side, and then rolling back up again, pushing the pubic bone forwards. Let's do that one more time. Let's take the arms out and up to the side. Getting those fingers going again, just working on the extremities, heightening your awareness of how that body's feeling today, how your body is in space, lowering the arms, taking the chin onto the chest, drawing the belly button in, hanging from your waist, take a little rock from side to side, and then rolling back up, keeping the movement flowing. Let's take a nice low figure of 8 with the backs of the hands sort of coming towards each other. If I go sideways, I'm shifting my rib cage forwards and backwards, bringing the shoulders forwards, rolling them backwards. And then so taking the same sort of thing, but opening up the arms nice and wide. Again, from the side, the movement's much bigger. I'm shifting the weight forwards and backwards, opening up the chest. So this is us mobilising that upper back, trying to get that thoracic spine nice and mobile. From here, we're going to cross the arms over in front. Take a look all the way up to the ceiling, lifting the chest, bring the arms down by your side, stick your bottom out, relax and unravel all the way down. Let's cross the arms over. I need to bring my feet in a little bit closer than I was actually. Cross the arms over, touch your ankles on either side, and then rolling up, keep touching that side seam of your legs, of your torso, and then it's like you're trying to take a tough jumper off as you take the arms up and over. And then we're going to go again. 2 of these in each position. 2 in the middle position. Crossing the arms over in front. Lift the chest. There's that lovely back extension. Mobilise down through the spine.
Let's straighten our legs this time and soften the knees. As you just saw, you need to have good hamstring length. And then rolling up through the spine, bringing the arms down. We're going to have to cut that. From here, popping the second arm in front and rolling up again, touching the side seams, taking that jumper off. Let's do one more of these. Low figure of eights to start with, medium figure of eights. Mobilising that rib cage, and then one last one. Cross the arms over, look up, arch the back, relax all the way down. Cross your arms over again. Touch that side seam all the way up. Keep the elbows nice and tight here as you open up and let those arms go back. Let's take the feet a little bit wider. Continuing to mobilise the body. Side stretches, side bends. Working that side seam of the body. Nice big breath in as you come through the centre, growing tall, breath out as you go over. Let's stay over to this one side. You're going to relax down, sweep the arm across, swap the arms over to come back up to the top and back over to the other side, like you're drawing a great big circle with your hands. One hand, the first hand does the first half of the circle, then you swap hands over at the floor and finish it off with the other arm. Try and go sideways, relax down, and then come up and look underneath that arm as you come up. It'll make it much stronger side stretch. So sideways, reach the arm out, look underneath, so you're back onto that side seam of the body. One more, going back the other way, reaching out and coming all the way to the top. Fantastic. This is all about mobilising stuff. And let's take a little spiral rotation, keeping the head facing forwards to start. A rotation of the spine. And then I feel like we've warmed the torso up particularly. The thing with this, the balance scales, is you're quite rigid in your body. And we know that we don't want to be rigid all the time. We want to be quite flexible. So we want to have that combination of strength and flexibility. Hopefully this is feeling good. Add the look behind you, allowing shoulders, hips, knees and ankles to all twist and rotate there so that you stay nice and central with that spine. Great, okay, looking to come back to being a little bit more fixed with everything now. I'm going to start this facing forwards. So this would be your build up to doing the balance scales, and this would be a much lower level to practice. Popping the hands on the hips, making sure hips and shoulders stay nice and square. We're going to peel one foot off the floor. You've started, with your feet completely together so that your balance point is nice and narrow, which will help. You haven't got to transfer a big shift of weight from one side to the other. Peeling the heel off, pointing that foot, making contact with your toes and draw up the inside of your other leg. Keeping your toes in contact and then place back down and swap sides. Peel the heel off, draw up all the way. So noticing for yourself, you can move your hands around a little bit if you want to. Check that there's no change. There's no change between my thumbs, which are touching my ribs, and my fingertips, which are just touching my top of my hips. There's no change from one side to the other. I'm keeping my shoulders level. There's no leaning. I go to the side, my standing leg, and this is actually really important, my standing leg stays straight. I'm bringing the leg up to 90 degrees. The knee is opposite my hip. Swapping sides. Also no change. with your tissue box, you know, I call the torso your tissue box, so the shoulders and the hips staying absolutely square to the front. So when I was practicing this earlier, I noticed that when I lifted this leg, my pelvis tilted slightly, so I could see, so basically my right hip pulls back a little bit. I want it to stay really square to the side. Let's add on to this, drawing the knee in and the foot's touching the pointed foot, the toes are touching the inside of the other knee. Extend that leg out, 45 degrees, keep it really straight, draw it back in, slide it back down again. Swap sides, we're lifting, we're extending, bringing that knee back in and lowering. I'm going to go to the side again. Lifting, so just 45 degrees, extending, but again, we've now got two straight legs. Really important for those legs to be straight, the knees to be pulled up, the foot really nice and straight. Swapping sides. Extending forwards, getting that used to that feeling of having properly straight legs, no change in the torso. If all of this is too much for you, as far as the balance side of it goes, if you can't lift your leg that high, just maybe lift the heel, peel the toes off so that you're on the top of your toe, and just extend the leg forwards and touch the floor. But notice my instep, there's no curly feet going on here. You could just, so no curly feet, so that instep is really straight. It's the same as if you're here, and there's no curly feet there, there's no resting the foot on the leg. Be really accurate with these things if you can. So we're there. Adding on, but taking the leg to the back now. I'm going to go to the side. You will hopefully notice as you do this one, so I'm doing the full version all the way up. I'm going to pitch slightly forwards, but still both legs are staying straight. And all that's happened here, and then I bring the knee back underneath me and lower it, is my plumb line, when I'm standing and both legs are straight, and even when I draw this knee up underneath me, my plumb line is still in the middle of my standing foot. As I pitch forwards, so that I just keep my back in its natural curves, my head is a little bit more over my toes. It's just transferred to the front of the foot. I could lift that heel up slightly if I wanted to, and I'm still in balance. When I bring that knee back again, I'm returning back to the middle of my foot. So a couple more of these. As before, two beautiful straight legs. Feet land together each time if you can. Pointed foot, a straight foot. No change in the torso. Let's leave that there. Fantastic. So that was our lifting and leg extension. So that's a lower level of the full version, but we're going to work up to that towards the end of class. So now let's take our feet nice and wide. Let's pop the hands. One hand on the chest and one hand on the lower abdomen, sort of just below your belly button, and look down. So your hands, you could say your hands are opposite your spine. We've done this work before. We're thinking about this plumb line. So there's this straight line. When I look down, I can see past the top hand, the lower hand is above my pubic bone, and then my plumb line falls straight down to the floor. We're going to transfer over to one side. I'm taking my hands with me. I'm taking my torso with me. There's no leaning, especially that lower hand. Now when I look down on the other side, and I'm keeping the other leg straight and the toes are just touching the floor. I'm pointing that foot, but it's quite relaxed. As I look down, I've got top hand, lower hand, pubic bone just there, and now my plumb line falls to the middle of that foot that I'm standing on. What I see a lot is this, where that pubic bone section, that pelvis hasn't quite tipped over, but I'm still equal length on both sides. Come back through the middle, swap to the other side. So either hand's here to check. If you feel like your plumb line would do a bit of a zigzag, it might be a subtle one, but it's still a zigzag, then you just need to drop into that hip a little bit. But it's not crunching, it's not concertinaing over to that side. My hips and my shoulders are staying as one unit. The tissue box has just shifted across. Great. Let's take the arms out to the side. Transfer over and just come to the point where you're pointing the toes. But be very conscious of, whoopsie, that plumb line. So when we do the full version, arms are here. Arms are out at 90 degrees. The torso, the spine, is absolutely perpendicular to the floor. Big word on a Thursday afternoon. I'm still practicing having both legs straight, not allowing those knees to collapse. I'm practicing keeping my foot pointed, or pointing my foot when there's no weight on it, keeping that instep nice and straight. We're going to add on a little bit. Go over to your first side. Lift the leg off of the floor and just take a little tip. Everything should tip as one unit. Return to square, change sides. Start nice and even, and then we're tipping, 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 tipping. This, my side leg, where I'm wiggling my foot, isn't lifting up very high, but everything is staying in the same relationship, if that makes sense. In the balance scales, you hinge over your hip, you hinge over the front of your hip. Now we're basically hinging from here. We're hinging over the side of the hip. It's quite strong. Heel down, extend, lift and tip. I'm going to make this the last one and relax. Well done. Good job. Okay, let's take our side stars and tilt, our static lunges. So we need reasonable flexibility, but also a certain level of flexibility in the hip flexors. As you know, hip flexor stretch, something to do every single day, one of the 10 things to do every day. Let's take a nice wide lunge, so front to back. We're just going to do some static lunges. The goal here is to practice bending the knees, having the weight in the middle, the torso nice and upright, and then fully straightening the legs. My back heel, I can relax it a little bit more actually, my back heel doesn't go flat because my Achilles are tight, so that's not a problem, but I am very much aligned and square to the front, to my front, which is the short end of my mat. If I change my position here, my feet aren't one behind the other, that would be too difficult to balance. I'm bending both knees equally, going straight down and straight back up again. I'm focusing on straightening the legs at the top, pulling those knees up. Also focusing, it's very easy to let the hips and the shoulders get a little bit twisted here. Really focusing on being absolutely square. So a few of these, this is hard work. A static lunge is really technically difficult to do. When I was teaching this a couple of weeks ago, I had someone with bad toes, someone with a twisted ankle, someone with a bad knee, someone with a replacement hip, and everyone had their challenges. And I'm sort of fairly fit and strong, but this is still hard work. It's hard work to do really well. Okay, let's go for a hip flexor stretch. So we're going to bend the knees. My pelvis is in neutral. My hips are level with each other. I've got the curve, natural curve in my lower back. From here, with my legs slightly bent, please feel free to hang on to something if you need to. This should be quite comfortable, shouldn't be too much hard work. Then we're going to tuck the pelvis under. I'm really pushing my pubic bone forwards. If I put my hand there, you might be able to see. That's my neutral. Pubic bone, hip bones on the same plane. I'm really tucking under. So now I'm getting a strong stretch at the front of your hip. Some of my clients don't feel this very much because I'm quite tight here anyway. So I really feel it straight away. If you're not feeling it much, make sure your weight's in the middle. Make sure you really tuck that pelvis under. And then if you want to make it a little bit more intense, try and straighten that back leg. It won't straighten, but it will increase the intensity of the stretch. It will also make the stretch wrap around your groin a little bit on that same side. Hopefully you're feeling that, keeping nice and upright with the rest of the body. Ooh, excellent. Let's do all of that on the other side. Swapping legs. Making sure that you're not on that tightrope. Get yourself comfortable. Hips and shoulders square to your front. Bending both knees and then fully straightening both legs, especially the back leg. What I see quite a lot in class with this one is the front leg bends, the body pitches forwards, but the back leg doesn't bend much. Bend that back knee. It's like, remember, if you're doing a full lunge all the way down to the floor, you'd be brushing that back knee to the floor. If you can go that far, this is a strong movement. You have to have all of those things in place to be able to go that far. I'm not so much interested in you going all the way down to the floor today. I'm more interested in bending the knees, keeping your torso nice and aligned, fully straightening both legs. And again, I'm just going to relax my back heel. I'm not quite sure why I'm lifting that up so much. It's a habit, I guess. I'm used to sort of pushing off there a little bit. So back heel relaxed. It might be on the floor, which is fine and amazing if you can do that, but what I don't want it to be is there, because if you put that heel down, that will open up the back hip and then we've twisted everything. So we're really square, bending both knees and straightening both legs. Perfect. I'm going to stay on this side actually for this stretch. So I've got the same leg, I've just turned to face the other way. We're bending both knees, I'm relaxed, my pelvis is in neutral. From there, I'm going to tuck my pelvis under. It looks like I'm switching this buttock on because it changes its shape, but that's just because I've tilted my pelvis under. This is actually quite relaxed. It's just got bunched up a little bit because of the position of my pelvis. So this for me is already really quite strong here. I'm going to stay exactly where I am, try and straighten that back leg. It hardly goes anywhere. But all of a sudden I've got a much stronger stretch there. Great, and then stepping out of that. So actually thinking about the balance scales, I've missed out something that I think I added on in class, but it's not on my list. If I show you from the side, when your feet are together and you've got your hands on your hips, ideally, we want to be able to lift to here to 90 degrees comfortably, but you might want to just try and tweak this hip flexor movement a little bit more and lift that knee beyond 90 degrees. I'm overbalancing a little bit. Again, use something to steady you if you can. And noticing, so I'm now managing, there's my knee at 90 degrees. That's what we're going to do for the balance scales, ideally. But I can lift that knee higher, and that basically it's happening from here. I'm hinging from the hip. It's not making me change my upper body shape, and it's not making me buckle my knee. I'm going to try some of that on the other side. I'm going to use the wall for a bit of balance actually. So from the feet together, so I know that my plumb line's in the middle, drawing that leg up. This is super comfortable for me, no problem at all. From here, I'm just going to let my lower foot dangle and let it relax. My goal is to lift the knee with no change in lower back, no change in standing leg, no change in upper back. I haven't changed my posture at all. That's strong. This is the hinging at the hip. This is why this exercise is great for our Pilates. This is the hinging at the hip that we sometimes require when we want to draw that knee in a little bit more, but we don't want to let everything collapse, especially the lower back when we're on the floor. And we will do that a bit later on with a floor exercise. Great, with our abdominals actually. From here, legs are nice and wide, toes are going out to the corners. We're coming down into our deep squats. My head is probably slightly out of the camera when I stand up because I've moved my camera down. I'm looking to send my hips a little bit lower than my knees, Maybe elbows to knees to keep the chest up, maybe taking the arms up. Again, mobilising, getting everything warmed up in those hip flexors. And then staying down, taking the hands to the floor, walking the feet out to the edges of your mat. I'm almost as wide as my mat, my toes are to the corner. We're going to take the Cossack squat maybe. I can never decide whether it's a Cossack squat or a lunge, but I tend to call this this is my side to side in my language. Knees are going over the toes. We're looking to really stretch that inside thigh and groin, especially on the straight leg side. We're looking for the knees to go over the toes. You will feel a stretch. You're going to feel a stretch pretty much everywhere in your legs, keeping the feet nice and flat if you can, so that ankle is moving around a bit as well. And then we're going to turn all the way to the side and take some lizard lunges. Opposite hand is on the floor next to that front foot, making sure the knee is behind the ankle. You're reaching forwards. You're going up and turning the head, turning the shoulders to take that arm behind you, then tuck the elbow in, twist the shoulder in as well. So my ribs have now, my thoracic spine has gone in the other direction. It's opened up and then it's closed in. This is all about hip flexor flexibility, upper body flexibility, the rib cage spine, and it just feels great, or I like it anyway. Might just be me being a bit weird. We're going to go round to the other side. The feet are already in the correct position. We just need to twiddle them a little bit. Get into your good square box position on the other side, shoulders and hips square to that front end of the mat. Reaching forwards, going up and back. Take a little pitch forward, so those toes at the back are getting a stretch as you reach forwards. As I take the arm up, I'm pushing back into that back heel, keeping the back leg nice and straight, getting a bit of a calf stretch. But again, we've got these muscles, the muscles in my leg around my knee are getting used to being straight and staying straight. And actually, I'm not doing my rotation so much on this side. I'm going to tuck that elbow in a little bit more, rotate a tiny bit more. Woo! Okay, brilliant. I think we can now relax to the floor. Yes, we can. Great. We are going to work on some bridges. No, we're going to work on some rib cage closure with leg slides first of all. So leg slides, making sure that you keep your foot on the floor when you slide your leg along the mat. So if you are using a yoga mat, try not to go to the end of the mat and then when you bring the leg back in, your mat gets all caught up. And it's a little bit more sticky if you've got bare feet, but try and position yourself so that all works for you. The part of the balance scales that we're working on now is setting our core, setting our torso, making it, helping it to be nice and rigid and strong. The same as when we do all of our abdominal work in Pilates. The same as we want to be doing all the time, really, is that bracing feeling. Let's start by just taking the arms up to the ceiling, palms facing your knees, so fingers facing away, stretching the arms overhead. In fact, sorry, now I'm going to change my hand position. Palms facing each other with your thumbs sticking out. We're going to take the arms overhead and hopefully be able to touch both thumbs to the floor at the same time. Noticing as you do this, is there any change in the shape of your spine? The changes that you might well notice, the main one that you might notice is the ribs flaring. So that last time I've allowed my ribs to flare. So my thumbs can easily touch the floor. They were touching at the same time, which is a good thing. But now my back is really overarched. I haven't controlled it. I've let my ribs flare and I've let my back arch. And in fact, the top of my shoulder blades, my collarbone is the only, and my sacrum is the only part of my spine that's on the floor. What I'd like you to do from here is turn your palms to face upwards. Your arms might not be, your fingers might not be touching the floor, your arms might not be flat, and that's absolutely fine, that's perfectly normal. Keep the wrists nice and straight, but from here, just draw your ribs down to connect to your hips. So set your torso. And if you notice, my arms now have come up much, much higher, because rather than having that freedom here with everything's just gone a bit lax, I've drawn the rib cage down to connect to my hips at the front. I haven't changed my lower back curve, and that's brought this all together. And then bringing the arms up. Now with that sensation, this feeling of being switched on in your centre, especially in your upper body, but the lower body gets involved as well. So we're going to, from the arms here, you're going to take a shoulder shrug, shoulders up towards your ears, slide your shoulders down in your back towards your hips. You'll feel your shoulder blades shift on the mat. Hopefully you'll feel a little bit of an armpit switching on. And also what I want you to really focus on, very much so when you take the arms back, is the ribs connecting to the hips at the front. My lower back is in its natural curves. My pubic bone, hip bones are on the same plane. Feet and knees hip width apart. I'm taking the arms back on an out breath. Returning the arms on an in breath. There is no change to my abdominal wall whatsoever. It's solid as a rock. Breath out. I can't touch the floor. I could touch the floor by flipping at the wrist, and then my fingertips can touch the floor, but I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to cheat. I just want you to keep that arm straightish, heavy, just adding that bit of extra weight and helping me to really connect and be aware of those ribs staying in the same place. Let's add on a leg slide, one side at a time. Do not lift the leg off of the mat, and return. Alternating sides. Breath out, breath in. And now, if you're doing this really well, you should be working actually quite hard. It's hard work to be able to slide the leg along the floor, keeping that heel in contact, but without rucking the mat up, without anything changing in your tummy. If you just want to feel this side of it, keep the rib cage drawn down, keep everything connected. Oh, yeah, put your elbows on the floor, flat hands on your hips. Go to unweight both feet, so you'll feel your sacrum dropping down a bit. Once you've unweighted both feet, slide one leg along the floor. Sacrum is solid. Lower back is solid. Change sides. There's no rocking and rolling from side to side, but I'm working hard in this whole area. My ribs are connecting to my hips. I'm working really strongly in the torso. One more each side. So although my bare feet are getting a little bit stuck on my sticky yoga mat, which is what it's meant to do, and go one more each side, I'm still able to slide the leg quite smoothly because it's coming from the centre. I've switched on in that centre. And relax a moment. Brilliant. Let's take a straight bridge all the way up to the ceiling. We're going to activate the buttocks. We're going to fire up the back line of the body. In order to do a straight bridge, again, we want the torso to be fixed. Let's do this actually. Let's spread fingers and thumbs far apart. Span your hands on your torso. We're going to push down through the feet. We're going to activate the buttocks, switching them on, lifting the hips up, noticing with your hands, my elbows are out to the side, noticing that there wasn't any change in this, in your torso. It's absolutely rock solid, same as it was just now. My little fingers are touching my hip bones, my thumbs are just managing to touch the ribs. There's no change. I'm going to come straight back down with resistance. I'm not relaxing my buttocks when I get to the floor either. I'm activating everything, keeping that torso solid. Trying to lift the hips up as high as possible, sending my knees over my toes, resisting on the way down. Pure strength training for the back line of the body. Also hinging from the hip without any change in the torso. Really important. I'm actually very conscious as well of my feet. I'm pushing down through my feet, but I tend to roll out towards my little toe side. So keep those knees close to each other, keep them opposite your hips. For me, I need to apply a little bit more pressure through my big toe joint. Equal amount of pressure actually, big toe joint, little toe joint and heel. Those 3 points of contact on both feet. My elbows are just hovering. I'm noticing that there's no change here, and that's quite exhausting. I've had enough of that. Brilliant. Okay, we are moving on from there into the crisscross. But we're going to take single leg stretch first. So this is our abdominal section. Single leg stretch. If you can, in an ideal world, you would be working in neutral, but I don't necessarily want you to work in neutral. We're going to look at some other things here. So hug your knees in. Notice as you pull your knees in, your lower back will round. Bring yourself up into a nice tight ball. Also add to that and imprint that lower back. Draw your belly button as tight as you can towards your spine. I'm going to hug one knee and we're going to set the legs up really nicely. So we're squishing in this hip flexor on this side. We're condensing, I would say, but that's not the word I was looking for, but anyway. We're drawing the knee in, we're staying nice and rounded, we're using that abdominal wall, we're tucking the pelvis under, we're not trying to be in neutral. We've got a beautiful straight leg, we've got beautiful pointed feet, we've got shin, this top shin parallel to the floor, we've got feet at the same height, and then we're swapping over. Hold it here, check all those things. Legs are hip width apart. Pulling this knee in, lower back is tucked under, that's absolutely fine. Shin is parallel to the floor, beautiful pointed feet, beautiful straight leg. Good, let's start to make it a little bit more Pilates-ified if you can. Hang on to with the knee to the opposite hand, reach the same side hand down to touch the ankle. This is what it looks like on the other side. We're staying up, we're staying strong. I'm keeping my chin tucked in, my head is above my shoulders. It's tough. Good, and enough of that for the moment. Cross your ankles over, hug your knees in, let the head roll from side to side, have a little relax. That's always going to be tough on the neck because we haven't got that lovely support for the neck. But we're going to do that now. Interlace the hands, hands at the back of the head. Bring your elbows forwards. Hug your armpits, slide your shoulder blades down in your back. Connect your ribs to your hips at the front. We're going to have those knees in, and this is what I was talking about when we were standing. My knees are in, but my lower back isn't tucked under. I can bring my knees to here. I'm still in a neutral. I'm in comfy position with my head and shoulders. My shoulder blades can touch the floor and wiggle about a bit. My lower back is in its neutral. If I do that, that's a combination of me pulling my knees in more and tucking my pelvis under. Now my lower back is pushing into the floor. If you can, so you might want to work imprinted here, but if you can, try and work in a neutral and a comfy position with the upper body. We're taking some cycling. So this is strong work. You need to be really strong in that torso, especially to remain in neutral. If you wanted to work even harder, clear the shoulder blades. Elbows are forwards, head is relaxed, neck is relaxed. Again, look at my legs. Beautiful pointed feet on both sides, beautiful straight legs as you do your cycling. If it's getting too much on that lower back, imprint, take the legs higher towards the ceiling, ultimately drop your head down if that's what you need to do. If your head is down, absolutely make sure that you're imprinting and taking those legs up nice and high. Stay here if you can. We're going to reverse it. Flexing the feet, but I'm looking for that beautiful straight leg again. Straighten the leg, then lift it. It's a different movement to what we just did. It's much harder on your core. We're working really hard now. Another 10 when you would like to stop. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I suppose technically you could say that was 20, but good job if you stayed with it. Always nice to have a little blast on the abdominals. Just finishing off with my favourite exercise for the abdominals, our crisscross, sort of combining those two but adding the obliques in now. This is a little bit more fingertips to temples, maybe fingertips to the back of your head so you haven't got that support, but bring your knee in towards your shoulder, take the opposite elbow, if you can touch the opposite elbow to the knee, to the inside of that knee. Try not to roll across your back. We're extending one leg. Beautiful pointed feet, beautiful straight leg. We're keeping up the head and shoulders. So my shoulder blades are clear. My lower back is absolutely imprinted here. I couldn't do this in neutral. If you can, well done. Try and stay nice and tight with those arms and the elbows, and oh, I think that's enough. I'm going to open up legs, feet and knees, nice and wide, legs bent, arms out to the side, first rhyme of class, backs to the hands on the floor. Just let your legs loll from side to side. This is just to unravel that abdominal wall a little bit. Let your head roll from side to side as well. Take a nice deep breath in and out a couple of times. Wonderful. Okay, we have one more thing to do, which is going to be our sideline work. So lying on your side in a straight line. Hips stacked, shoulders stacked. Lift the waist away from the mat. Legs beautifully straight. We're going to lift the top leg up, lift the underneath leg to join the top leg. Insteps are parallel, legs are straight, feet are pointed. We're going to tap, tap, and then lower both legs. Top leg, underneath leg joins, tap, tap, and lower. 6 of these. Lift, join the feet together, tap, tap, and lower. Lift, tap, tap, and lower. Thinking about those inside thighs, but also, once more, practicing straight legs, pointed feet, moving the legs independently of the torso. I think that was 6, but we're going to do one more for luck because I've lost my counting. Great, we're going to lift the legs up very slightly. You're going to slightly lift your ear off of your arm, and we're going to roll over onto our tummies, keeping this front hand in front of your shoulder and your torso. When you get to the lying on your tummy. Try and stay nice and solid with your back. Maybe open up the legs a little bit. And then we're going to take a back extension from here. It's a bit of a combination of drawing this top arm in that's really straight and pushing. I'm not really pushing down, but you think about lifting from your shoulder blades. You keep your shoulders really square to the top end of your mat if this is where you're working, and then you slide away, push down on that hand that's on the floor underneath your shoulder, roll yourself back nice and square. So we're keeping the torso fixed. Let's do that one more time. Lift, tap, tap, and lower. And lift the underneath leg, tap, tap, and lower. Let's just do 3 of these this time. Here, tap, tap, and lower. Lift the head slightly. Roll over onto your torso as one solid unit. Open up the legs a little bit. Lift the back all the way up. It's like you've just got this really nice support with the hands in this position. Rolling all the way down. Push onto that hand. Roll back onto your side as one solid unit. Good job. Bending the knees in, twiddling round to the other side. So a beautiful straight line, hips stacked, shoulders stacked, waist lifted, ribs engaged, ribs switched on. The torso is solid again. Lowering the legs, lifting the top leg, inside thighs, working hard. As you lift the underneath leg up, you take a tap, tap, and then you lower. Lift, join, tap, tap, and lower. 4 more. Lift, join, tap, tap, and lower. Lift, join, tap, tap, and lower. Lift, join, tap, tap. I've lost count. I've caught myself thinking about my lunch then. So lift the head slightly off of the arm. Keep the legs straight and together. Roll over as one solid unit in your torso. Relax the legs down. Adjust your shoulders so that you're nice and square. Keep the back of the head and neck lifted. Maybe open up the legs a little bit. Think of lifting from your shoulder blades. Keep one arm straight, keep the back arm straight, push down on that underneath or that front arm that's close to your shoulder, and then slide away, bring the legs together, push back as a solid unit, and here we go again. Top leg, lift underneath, tap, tap, and lower. 2 more. Lift, tap, tap, and lower, tap, tap, and lower. Great job, rolling onto your tummy. What I love about this is I can get my back so much higher, weirdly, in this position than I can do if my arms aren't here. It's very strange. And then sliding away, feet together, rolling back over as one unit. Great, have a little relax. Brilliant. We're going to have a bit of a roll around, a wiggle about, as always. Just noticing for yourself. I'm going to try and attempt to put my hair back in as well. Noticing for yourself, where are your tighter bits? Where do you instinctively want to have a bit of a wiggle? I will always go from all 4s. I generally start on all 4s with some spine circles. Both ways, both types of spine circles, maybe curling my toes under, pushing back into that deep squat, shifting the weight from side to side. If I didn't have tight Achilles, I'd be looking for both of my heels to be down, maybe rolling over those toes there, maybe taking the hips all the way back to the heels, hands nice and wide, take a sway from side to side. There's another rhyme. I'm on fire today. Turning the head, rolling up through the spine. I always like to finish off, as you know, with my calf stretches. So from here I'm going to go curling my toes under, lifting my hips up nice and high, pushing the chest back through the arms. So if you're joining me here, in a downward dog stretch. You can stretch the calves by bending one knee at a time, pushing the other calf down. But then let's take a really extra strong hamstring stretch, which is what we need, good hamstring length to be able to do that balance scale properly. So downward dog, bend your knees and then overarch your lower back so that you really send your sit bones up to the ceiling as much as you can. Push your chest back through your arms even more than normal, and then try and straighten your legs and push those heels down. It's very strong. And then I'm going to soften my knees, walk my hands back, just nod my head, shake my head, and roll up through the spine to come up. Great. Now my head's slightly out of the picture, but that's probably absolutely fine. The top of my head is slightly out. As soon as I get going, though, you're gonna see how it's working. So let's try this. So you're going to be, I'm going to turn sideways, but we're going to be feet completely together, that plumb line all in place, hips and shoulders absolutely square, arms going out to the side. Just make sure you've got enough for you. You might, if you're doing this for the very first time, you might want to have a little bit of support. So we're here. I'm lifting my one knee, pointing that foot, touching my other knee. I'm going to extend the leg forwards. 90 degrees is the measure, keeping my underneath leg nice and straight. I'm going to hinge at my hips, keeping this leg bent as I pitch forwards. And then when I feel like I'm at 90 degrees, hopefully that's about right, I'm going to straighten out that back leg, holding that there a moment, coming upright. One more time through on this side. The leg doesn't have to be at 90, so if 90 is too much, go low, go 45 degrees. Bring it in. Take the hinge at the hip, go 45 degrees at the back, as long as you've got this diagonal line in the body. I'm going to pitch forwards. I've actually just got my fingertips just touching the wall behind me. It's very helpful, I have to say. And then up to the top and down. I'm going to try my other leg. So 4 times, or twice to the front, twice to the back. Lifting. How's that posture? How's that standing leg? Should be nice and straight. 90 degrees. Can you get it there without anything changing? Can you get that leg straight? Swing the thigh back through. Then hinge over. Very interesting. I now can't quite touch the wall. It's throwing me off a little bit. Straightening that back leg. I know that on this side, and I had to bend my knee to come up then, I know that this side, my right hip wants to lift up when I'm in that, when I've got the leg behind. Forwards, and there. Hinging forwards. Keep those hips level, keep the shoulders level. Straighten the leg, keep your chin tucked in. You should be looking straight down at the floor. Can I come up with a straight leg? Yes, I can. And we're there. Good work, everyone. Whoops. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments. See you again.